Okay, folks, we're ready to get going here. Good evening and welcome to the Marshfield School Committee meeting on Tuesday, June 20th. Mrs. Pazerski, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Costello.
Here.
Mrs. Brate. Mrs. Dargan. Ms.
Please.
Stetson and Mr. Greer.
Both of whom are absent. Thank you. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please also join me in the Peace Builders Pledge. I am a peace builder. I pledge to praise people, to give up put-downs, to seek wise people, to notice and speak up about hurts I've caused, to right wrongs, to help others. I will build peace at home, at school, and in my community each day. Under the open meeting law, I'm informing the public that this meeting is being videotaped by Marshfield Community Media. If anybody else is filming this meeting, either audio or video, please notify us of such at this time. Seeing none, we have a very special Spotlight on Excellence to open our meeting tonight. Sally Marples, I'm going to invite you, I'm going to put you in the hot seat, Sally. After...
You do realize that I have a microphone now.
I do. I'm realizing the risk that we're taking. We're even turning your microphone on. Well, we want to recognize Sally Marples, who dedicated a whole lot of time, 32 years, to the Marshfield Education Association as a member, and I believe almost 20 years as president. Is that correct, Sally?
Yes.
With one little break in between for 1 year,
Yep.
and then you just missed it so much that you came right back.
No, he just couldn't do the job.
Yeah. Well, we want to make sure we recognize you and we thank you because we know it's a thankless job a lot of the time. Having to sit across from us and work with us can be thankless. But we want to recognize you because you truly deserve it. So I'm going to turn it on over to Mr. Granatino to say a few words to recognize you.
It's always can be, I shouldn't say it always is, but it can be a challenging relationship between a superintendent and a union president or a union officer. And I've been fortunate in all of my districts to not have that type of acrimony, especially here. I came in and Ms. Marples and myself were able to work through a lot of things, sometimes challenging, sometimes pretty easy. But always professional, always cordial, always respectful, and most importantly, always putting the students and the staff of Marshfield first. Making sure that the needs were always at the forefront of her requests, her negotiation issues or matters, and it was a pleasure to work with you. It's been 8 years, my longest stint as a super, and sometimes that's 2 or 3 superintendent stints with multiple, union presidents, and I've been fortunate to have one union president except for that, 1 year, and I had a fine time working with Chris. But Sal, you've given your time and your emotions and your feelings and everything that comes with you to this position, and you've done it really, really well. And it's been an honor to work with you. I could go through all the list of all the different positions you've had. I most of the folks won't even know what the positions are, but you've had a multiple litany of leadership roles, and to your members, you're just someone that they can count on and someone that they can work through. And we've sat through, I don't know, at least a dozen negotiations with the various units under the MEA umbrella, and they all went well. There might have been some hiccups here and there, but it was never anything that we couldn't work through. And it was been a pleasure. And there's a lot that comes with my job. And to be able to have a relationship with the union and the union leadership the way we've had it, we've been able to do a lot of good for the district through our connection and through our collaboration, and I thank you for that. I really do. It's been an honor. I'm going to miss you. But I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Raymond over there because I know that he has many of those same qualities. Mm-hmm. And we're fortunate here in Marshfield to have that type of relationship between the two entities. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think Jeff said it pretty perfectly, is that this is a spotlight recognizing you, but at the same time it's also by proxy recognizing the entire MEA and the relationship that we have with the MEA, which is such an important relationship. I have some friends that I've been able to network with for the last few years who are members of school committees in a couple other districts across the state. And I especially remember when I was first elected, I'd be talking to some of those folks from other towns, and they'd say, "Oh boy, when's your negotiation? You know, are you ready? How's your relationship with the union?" And they'd tell us horror stories. And then I come, to this job, and it couldn't be more different. I mean, we certainly would have our differences on some issues over the years, but we were always able to come together and get things done for students, which, as you said, is the most important thing, and it's the shared goal that we all have. And I think you had a huge part of that. And if anybody in this audience, anybody watching, was a teacher in Marshfield Public Schools at any point in the last 20-plus years, they owe you a debt of gratitude for all the work that you've done on their behalf and all the representation that you gave them. You have always stood up for your educators, always. And that's something admirable, and that's worthy of recognition. So I thank you as well. I've learned from you. I've learned from the friendship that we've developed, and I'm going to miss working with you as well. And I know you'll stay in touch.
Yes.
You don't even have to call. You can just lean out your window over there in Duxbury and say something, and I'm sure I'll hear it down in Marshfield.
We'll have to close our windows.
Exactly. Ms. Brady.
So I want to thank you for being so kind to me and welcoming me when I first became a member of this committee. This is an overwhelming job when you first start, and you were always so great with me. And then when I became chair, I'm happy to say that I added this little MEA update on our agenda. It's going to be my legacy going down. But it's been a pleasure to work with you, and thank you so much. I also have very fond memories of you when you used to supervise Saturday detentions. When I was a student at MHS, I spent many Saturdays in there with Mrs. Marples. Yeah, I remember saying to my friends, "You're never going to believe who I'm working with now. Marples." So here you are. But no, in all seriousness, thank you so much. I agree with everything that Sean and Jeff said, and you've dedicated your life to Marshfield and Marshfield Public Schools, and you're a legend, Mrs. Marples.
That she is.
Thank you very much.
Well said. Ms. Dargan, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add.
And welcome to the school committee.
I don't know if you have anything you'd like to.
Yeah.
Not only our assistant superintendent, but a former interim superintendent, so you've worked with Sally with a bunch of different hats.
And Sally, as a former union president, my hat's off to you for doing this for 20 years, because I only lasted a few years before moving on to administration, and it was a full-time job, and trying to work full-time and do that full-time job is next to impossible, and you pulled it off with grace and empathy, and just, like everyone has said, looking out for the students and the staff all the time. So you will be missed, and I'll miss you ducking into my office at the least expected moments once in a while, but yeah, you'll be missed. Thank you.
I'll say there's one thing that won't be missed is the colored paper that you would bring to the negotiations, either the pink paper or the yellow paper or the green paper, which were different iterations of their proposals. And I got to tell you a little secret. I don't think I ever read those colored sheets of paper. I just went with what we had and ran with that. But it's okay.
But we will moving forward.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame Ms. Stetson is unable to be here tonight, and she wanted to make sure that you knew how much she appreciates you, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from her at some point. But I think it's a shame that Mr. Greer couldn't be here tonight, because I know you two have a very unique...
I'm really disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I reformed that man.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, you two have a very... But I also want to give Mrs. Pazerski, if you have anything you'd like to add, because I know you've worked really closely with Mrs. Marple.
Well, thank you also for being so welcoming when I came, and not knowing a whole lot about education, coming from a business background, and being very patient as I learned the ropes and explained things to me, and also ducking into my office every once in a while, and just the collaborative approach we had to combining the years and years and years of contracts into one, and that will be my Sally Marple's legacy, is getting that all together. But thank you as a parent as well, but thank you for your years of service.
I would like to ask for a round of applause for Mrs. Sally Marbles. And we have a little token for you of our appreciation. Yes. Come on up. Oh, yeah, you get a chance after this.
Oh, you're coming back, don't worry, you'll have to chat.
And thank you for being willing to serve. That's always oh, they would put the tall one next to as long as you don't take it from the MEA time, that would be big.
I was just going to make that joke.
We wouldn't do that to Ben, we wouldn't do that to Ben.
So in case you notice the clenched jaw, it's because I don't want to start crying. It would be so humiliating. Now I know what it's like to attend your own wake.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get that for the retirement because it was really sort of funny. It was right after COVID. I truly appreciate everything that you have said, particularly recognizing that my goal has always been to serve the students of Marshfield in the best way I could, one as a librarian, but also as the leader of the educators, or most of the educators in the district, because those two are so intertwined, you really can't separate them. My Teamster father is rolling over in his grave that the management is saying nice things about me. Because as a Teamster, you were never nice with the boss, and the boss was never nice with you. And we've been able to reach this point, and I've been able to reach this point in my life because of the interactions I've had with my members, but also the interactions I've had with some tremendous leaders in this district. Starting with Bob Garrett, who always treated, that was a school committee lawyer, which some of you might not remember, who always treated us with courtesy and respect and kindness. With Scott Borstel, who strove to get that collaboration and cooperation that made my job much easier, and please God, made this district much better, because I think it did. We did not always agree on everything. I'm coming from the point of view that what's good for my members is obviously good for the students. And your responsibility was to the students, but also to the citizens of Marshfield. And sometimes there could be some conflict there. But I want to thank this school committee and the ones prior to this, including somebody that I loved, and I want to mention Eileen Ryan, who was always, always, always fair and generous and did the best they could for everybody under some very difficult circumstances. I'm glad I was able to reach this point at this stage of my career and presidency, that we could have this kind of a meeting and be sincere in thanking each other for the support, the courtesy, the professionalism, and the common shared goals of doing the best for the children of Marshfield. And I take all of this as a great compliment, even if my father's rolling over in his grave. Thank you so, so much. And I don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
You don't.
I won't be the last one in the room with you, with this wonderful group. And I'm going to leave right away so I can go sit in my car and cry. Thank you so much for this honor. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to move on into our informational. And
Sure.
we only have
Only two of us.
two of us here
Two of us
today, two of our
today.
folks here today. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Granatino.
Yes, I'll be brief. Just as you know, we wrapped up classes last Tuesday. It was a great end to the school year. It was just a really fantastic year. I cannot believe how fast it went. I talked to a lot of folks who could not believe how quickly the whole school year flew by, but we were able to accomplish a lot of the goals that we set out for as a district. Each school worked their hardest to meet whatever targets they set for themselves, and we have one of our principals here who did a fantastic job, along with all the other 6 principals, and it was a great year. It was a really good year for the Marshfield Public Schools, and I was proud to be a part of it. A lot of nice end of the year celebrations that took place. We had Ms. Milch here last meeting, and they really did honor folks at the outdoor bandstand, for lack of a better term. But,
Yep, the gazebo, the
gazebo,
courtyard.
thank you, I couldn't think of the word. Also, some recognition for some retirees over there, and then we had, as you mentioned earlier, the Conahan Award. We had the 50th anniversary of the Conahan Award at the Daniel Webster School, and Ms. McNeil and Ms. Jackson did a fantastic job honoring the Conahan family, and we had 24, I believe, I counted, 24 out of the 50 Conahan Award winners present.
awesome.
And it was just neat to hear some of their stories, and we had our most recent one who got it 2 weeks ago, and we had, I think, the one with the most seniority. I won't say the oldest, but the one with the most seniority, I believe was right around my year. It would have been like 77, I think it was, so that's when I was in the 5th grade, so it was just neat to see, and it was a great job. Furnace Brook had their 8th grade class night, which was a real big success, and the PTO over there did a fantastic job, and the custodians I know had to do a lot of work to get things ready for that Hawaiian theme, and it was just a fun night for all of those kids. They really earned it, and deserved a nice night for themselves. So it was just a great end to the school year. Moving forward, we're working with our Marshfield police friends. They've been using our buildings after hours for some of their drills and some of their trainings for, unfortunately, the things that we have to worry about sometimes as far as, school shooters or any type of those types of things where we have to protect our students, protect our staff in our buildings, but they've been able to use our building to run some drills with a lot of their newer staff over the last couple weeks, which has been great, and they'll continue to do that over the summer. We've been hiring a lot of fantastic teachers. We've had a few retirements, as you know, obviously, and some resignations, so we've been busy. The principals are doing a nice job bringing in a variety of folks to come in and take over some of these roles, and we're still up against it. And like every school, most of the superintendents I'm talking to, we're still in the mix of getting new resignations or people making shifts, and so we're going to be pretty busy for the next couple of weeks, but it's a good process, and we have some good people coming and joining our team. And the only other thing I have, and it's not really school related, if you wouldn't mind me delving off for a moment, but I've been involved in an organization the last couple of years that called Fights Cancer, and I haven't really made a big deal about it around here because I didn't want people to feel pressured, I have to help the boss with this event. But it's kind of like running a marathon, and you get donors to support your cause, and this is all for cancer-related hospitals that do research, and cancer charities that help folks that have been dealing with it. And this year I was able to raise over $12,000, but a little over 10% of that came from people in Marshfield who, again, they might have saw it on Facebook or whatever. I didn't do any pleas out to the folks in the town or to the folks that work for me, but people saw it and stepped up and helped, and it just speaks to what Marshfield's all about. And it's last year was the same deal. Last year was my first year doing it, and we raised even more last year. I think it was $18,000 last year, so just about $30,000 over 2 years that go right to cancer hospitals and charities, and a big chunk of that support has been from the folks here in Marshfield. So I just want to end up many people in this room. So I want to thank those folks here publicly for their support, and I'll be at that as long as there's an issue to fight against cancer. I'll be doing this fundraiser for years to come. So I just wanted to take a second and thank those folks who have stepped up to help. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Granatino, and congrats. Job well done. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Dr. Martin.
I don't have too much, except I'm wondering where Bling is from the golf tournament.
I'm
Remember
sorry?
your big bling?
Oh, my chain, yeah, I did wear my
Yeah,
chain.
yeah, I was
You're
thinking
going to
you
need to
might
wear that at the
I'll
next
bring
meeting.
that. Anyone that raised over $10,000, and they raised $780,000 in 2 days, and their goal was $750. But if you raise over $10,000, you get a big gold chain with a big Golf Fights Cancer placard. So
Nice.
I'll bring that to the next meeting.
Please do. I know.
I know, you should be wearing it every day. Just, summer's here, but not really in my office. The summer is probably one of the busiest times. We are working on some new grants that actually only run through the summer, so we'll be doing a lot with elementary literacy and math. We do have, Linda Herstack has officially retired as the mentor coordinator for the district. So we actually have 2 people to fill our spot as co-coordinators. Rian Hill, who is an English teacher at the high school, and our own Amy McAlpine has offered to co-facilitate or co-coordinate with her. So they have big shoes to fill, but just making that quick announcement. And I think that's it. I'll just jump in where needed later.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. And of course, our Director of Special Education and our Assistant Super for Business and Finance are not able to be with us tonight. I have one brief item to add to the updates, and she's going to kill me. But this Friday at the State House, only 100 people, 100 women statewide are going to be recognized with the Commonwealth Heroines Award for their work in their communities, and none other than Laura Brait is one of the 100 people. So congratulations to Ms. Brait. Looking forward to the ceremony recognizing you and a lot of really impressive women across the state who are lucky to be in your company. We've reached the point in the meeting for public participation. If any member of the public wishes to address the committee, now is your time to do so. Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the MEA update. I'll recognize you, Mr. Raymond, President of the MEA.
Hello, everyone. So I will be brief, if not terse. Housekeeping-wise, real quickly, we're looking forward to moving forward with our tutor unit negotiations this summer. We're going to get started with that next Thursday, the 29th. Looking forward to a mutually beneficial contract negotiation there. In terms of business, that's really all I have in terms of an update. I don't know what to call this little series I'm going to try to do here. Series, what a stupid word. But Spotlight on Excellence was taken. So I'm calling it Above and Beyond for right now. Last time I mentioned how Pat LeClaire, the science teacher at the high school, had been volunteering his preps to work with our ELL students and make sure that they were successful. And the Above and Beyond that I want to mention today is Ms. Marples. I want to tell a very, very quick story, personal story about her dedication to members, and then just a quick update from the MEA pertinent to Ms. Marples. I'll be brief. Last summer, as I was learning the ropes and working with Ms. Marples on teacher unit negotiations and all kinds of things, my nephew passed away. He was 39 days old. His name was Jamie William Raymond, and anyone listening, I want you to hear his name. When he passed, I had to talk to Ms. Marples on the phone about business of some sort. She was exceptionally kind, and as much as she is passionate about the MEA, and as much as she is passionate about the MEA, she wanted to first make sure that I was okay and that my brother and sister-in-law were okay, and offered anything and everything that I needed as life without Jamie commenced. I count myself in the group of people who have had some spirited disagreements with Ms. Marples, but I more than anything count myself among those who thank her immensely for the time that she has spent, not just as an MEA president, an MEA rep, but I am first and foremost a father and a husband in this town, and her work with the students of this town needs to go recognized, and I'm glad to see that it has. I'll be very brief in ending and saying that I put forward an informal motion to the Executive Board of the MEA at our last meeting in June to name part of our MEA scholarships that we give out to students at the end of every year, that the Max Scholarship be named after Ms. Marples. We'll see if that passes the Executive Board. I'm sure it will. But I just wanted to let you know that we're recognizing her as well. And I'll think of a better name for really the time that I want to use here is to spotlight the work that my colleagues are doing for my kids. And Ms. Marples deserves that. That's all for me for today. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. That's a very fitting honor. Okay, I'm going to move the meeting minutes to the end of the meeting, as we usually do. We only have 2 items on the agenda, but one of them we're going to be tabling. I believe there's a meeting that's happening tomorrow on the Anderson Field video scoreboard just to finalize a couple things. So we're going to move on into our one and only agenda item of the night, which is the strategic planning update, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Granatino.
Okay, I'm trying to a little bit of a classroom teacher here and walk around so I have to turn in my seat and have it back to you. But as you know, for the past 4 or 5 months, we've been working as a district on our new strategic plan. And tonight is a chance for us to kind of walk through the process, walk through the draft of the plan. We're asking the committee to review and vote on just the language of the plan. There's going to be final edits as to how it looks and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be put online. We'll have some handouts as well with the plan. But we're just looking at the content. We received it last week in your packet, and I'll go over a lot of it. But mainly just trying to give context to what we did as a group, as a team. Some of our team members are here in the back. If you want to raise your hand, Jackie Schmidt, one of our parent representatives there. Ed Lee is one of the consultants with Teaching and Learning Alliance who worked with us. Every time we do this plan, or most districts do a plan, they'll have some group that works with them to kind of help guide them through it. Again, someone who doesn't have any real skin in the game, and they can kind of keep us focused on the number one objective. And if we start veering off path, they bring us back on. We did a lot of work behind the scenes to kind of collate all the information that we came up with as a team. Ms. McNeil there as well, our principal from Daniel Webster, Mr. Seaver, John Seaver, his one of the wives is here as well. She was not on the team, but she was, I'm sure, a big fan at home and helping John come up with a lot of great ideas. Because John and Jackie were really having a parent input. We had a few others, and I'll show those names in a second. But we'd asked everyone if they could try to come by. It'd be great, but it's a busy time of the year, and I get it. Ms. Dargan as well was on the team. Mr. Costello was on the team. Dr. Martin, Mr. Miller, and Ms. Delaro who aren't here. But it was a big process that took in a lot of information from around the district, and we're going to just briefly talk a little bit about that. I don't want to bog down too much into the weeds. But again, why now? Why do we do this process, this plan? Every 5 years we do this plan. And so we're up for our new 5-year plan. It presents us with an opportunity to embark on our new plan, and we can incorporate our professional data we're gaining from the district to better prepare our students and staff to better reach their maximum potential. And that potential is kind of the key we keep on hearing. A strategic plan, those that might not have, maybe if you haven't dealt with one, it's just a roadmap that gives us direction as a district, when saying on what it is, what it wants to be, and how it can achieve its goals. So if we know we want to do certain things as a district, how do we get there? The plan helps drive that. And the current plan that we're just wrapping up, anytime that we set goals at the school level, or we set financial plans and brought forth to town meeting, it all went back to ideas that came from the strategic plan. That's what it should be. It's a living document. It's not something that just sits in a corner somewhere and collects dust. The stakeholder involvement, as I alluded to, couldn't have been more important. We had 21 people on the team, parents, students, teachers, administrators, school committee members, and it was a great team. And at the end, I had Mr. Lee kind of speak as an uninterested party, just to kind of give his perspective on how our team worked, because I know throughout the process, his team, folks from TLA, were constantly noting the input that we received from our stakeholders, and then the work of the team was really important. And I apologize, Mr. Raymond standing right in front of me, and he was also on our team, so he was a really integral member of the teaching team that was there. But the stakeholder involvement, we got a collection of multiple district data sources from all 7 schools that we looked at. We had a selection of a strategic planning committee volunteers in the late winter, and we had 21 final members that were part of the team. We We had 6 focus groups that we had with parents, with students, with staff, with school committee members. Some had big numbers, some had small numbers, but every single person that shared anything was important to the process, and it was data that we looked at. We had a survey with input from approximately 1,000 people. Okay, I think it was just under 1,000 because Dr. Hostel was noting that one of the districts was just over 1,000, but we were by far those two districts with the highest number of responses in those surveys. And that was really helpful for us, and those surveys are going to continue to be used not only for this process, but by our schools when they're setting their individual goals as schools themselves. And then we had 6 3-hour nighttime meetings with our 21-person team, with our folks from TLA helping guide us. And those meetings were not like sit around and just kind of chat. It was work. It was a lot of work after long days. And everyone that was there had put in efforts in the classroom. They taught, they worked in their jobs, and they still came filled with energy, filled with a lot of ideas. And the biggest part was we talked about no titles that come through the door. Everyone had an equal say. It didn't matter if you were a student, a superintendent, a school committee member, a parent. Everyone was at the same level talking about ideas, and there might have been something that I would have liked that some folks didn't want. And we moved forward, but we went by consensus. And I think what was nice is as many ideas as we talked about over those 6 meetings, we always kind of ended up in a place where we all felt pretty comfortable, which is nice. That doesn't always happen. These are our members again. Myself on down, Dr. Martin Scalaro, Mr. Miller, Ms. Costello, Ms. Bergen, Maria Turner, and Tyler Panero. 2 of our students, they were phenomenal. To be 16, 17 years old, warm-filled with adults who have a lot of ideas, have a lot of type A personalities, they fit right in. They were great, and they had ideas. They had, they gave us some clarity sometimes that we were missing the forest through the trees sometimes, and they were able to give it from the students' lens and help us greatly as we move forward. Mr. Cawthorn, Ms. McAlpine, from the data and PD side of things, technology side of things, they were great. Ms. Beard and McNeil were our principal reps. Patty Casey from the high school, I went from assistant principal. We had Mr. Raymond, Ms. Alberico from the middle school, Ms. Silva, Ms. Johnson, our math coach, and then our parents, Andy Coey, Jackie, as we mentioned, John Seaver, and Jen Field, who couldn't be here tonight. But a really awesome team. The process, it's kind of threefold. Phase 1 is building the foundation. That's getting all that data. It's getting the team together. It's figuring out kind of, through a SWOT analysis what we want to do, what's working, what's not working, and again, that data helped drive a lot of that discussion. And then building the plan, those meetings that we had, when we set up the mission, set up the vision, set up the core values, and then eventually the pillars that we're kind of building on as our 4 big rocks, as they call it, of things that we want to get done. That was phase 2, and then phase 3 is going to be what happens after this. After this is approved, when we sit down and have our first meeting as a leadership team over the summer and start setting our goals for each school, setting our goals for the district first, and really honing in on trying to have that through line from the district is trying to accomplish X, Y, and Z based on the plan, and then what does that look like at Furnace Brook Middle School? What does that look like at the high school? They're going to have specific items and action items that they're going to do that tie to the bigger picture that we have at the district level. And then from there, the teachers, when they set their plans and their goals, it's going to be tied to what the school's working on. So it's kind of that through line from the top on down to what's going on in the classroom. And that's the exciting part about it. And we do it every 5 years. We do it every year over the next 5 years. And some of the things that we identify as key actions might not happen right away in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and who knows, we might reach everything. That'd be great if we were able to accomplish everything we wanted to in year 4. We might come back and revisit the next plan a little earlier, and that's something that can be done. It's not common, but it can be done. The work that we did, again, it's in your packet, but the mission statement, which we've had a mission statement that has been fairly similar over the years. We tweaked it 5 years ago, and folks from TLA were commenting on the fact that it was a plan, it was a mission statement that really carried through multiple iterations of various plans. We did tweak it a little bit more this time, but the mission statement that we're bringing forward is that we are a safe, inclusive, and respectful learning community that empowers all to achieve their maximum potential. We didn't want to say, we didn't want to limit what that potential meant. Because for every student, for every staff member, potential means something different. And so that's a word that actually we had in our last plan and kept and built up into this time. The core values, pursue excellence, that we foster collaboration, that we inspire innovation and creativity, that we promote responsibility, we provide an equitable, supportive environment, and we cultivate social emotional wellness. And this is probably one of the larger things we talked about, and took probably the biggest chunk of time, because for each person, we all have our own core values. And so, you know, the work that TLA was able to do, putting us in different teams and kind of bring it together, and we'd all come up with lists, and then they morph those lists into something that showed all the commonalities, and it got us to the point where we were able to have an end product that made sense and tied into the thoughts of all the different groups in town. So I think everyone's voice was heard when we talked about these. And again, going back to that data, we spent the whole session just looking at that data and trying to outline what were the key areas of importance to our stakeholders. What do they want to see us working and focusing on? So these ideas came from that data done as well. And then the vision statement. The vision statement is something that's supposed to be audacious. It's supposed to be earth-shattering. It's like what we want. When you think about our kids 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what do we want to see them doing? And so it's a little different than the mission, but it's something that, you know, it was funny. We were all changing our previous vision statement. The previous vision statement was more like a kind of a mission statement 1.0. You know, it was a kind of a continuation of the mission. This one was a little different, but everyone thought to do it a little differently, and this came out of it. Inspired to learn, confident to explore, prepared to thrive. So that's what we want to see our students, each and every one of them, whether they're kindergartners or the seniors, heading out to their next step in their journey. But inspired to learn, confident to explore, prepared to thrive. And even I'll be able to remember that. I don't think any of us could remember the past vision. And then our theory of action, and this is something that we similar to what we had before, but this is kind of like if we do X, Y, and Z, we're going to get this as a result. So if we establish a strong sense of belonging in a safe and equitable environment, build and strengthen community engagement and communication practices, provide and support high-quality teaching, learning, and leading, and provide facilities that support a quality learning environment, then all will be empowered to meet the maximum potential. So if we can do what it says at the beginning, we're going to be opening, providing the access that our students need to meet their potential. And then the pillars. We went back and forth. Some schools call them their objectives, some call them, I'm trying to think of some of the other, what were they? Initiatives, which was, again, a word that most union folks don't like the word initiative.
Dr. Archer loved that.
What's that?
They did arches.
Arches, right. Paulson did arches. It's priorities. So it's all different. And then someone, we'd come up with something different, but then someone said, why don't we just stick with pillars? We worked for 5 years, so we went back to the pillars. It was a cool little graphic there. That was my little artwork there with the pillars. And our 4 pillars aren't really different. They're worded a little differently than they were before, but they're pretty much very similar in theme. Equity, belonging, and wellness is our first pillar. And again, these pillars are not in any one order. Like we want to make sure that when we're talking about it, because before it was saying like objective number 1 or however whatever word we're using, it made it look like this is most important and this is less important. They're all equally important. We just didn't put them in any singular order. But equity, belonging, and wellness, we want our students to feel well about themselves, good about themselves. They want to be belonging to their learning environment. Teaching, learning, and leading is obviously core of what we do. And those 2 things were a big part of our first plan, our last plan. Community engagement and communications. Again, one of the things that we've heard loud and clear through the survey, through the data, through all the different work from our stakeholders, engagement and communication, we need to work on that. I think we do a good job, but it's one of those things we can never stop working on that. And in certain areas that maybe did it better than others, did it differently than other districts, other schools. So that's going to be one of those things that all of our schools really focus on to make sure feel good about themselves. Again, so that when they do focus on the teaching and learning, they're not going to be bogged down by those things that might be nagging at them. All right, and then for each of those objectives, there's key actions. I don't want to really read through each one of them. You know, the plan is going to be once posted, once voted on, will be posted, and everyone will be able to see it. But each of these actions tie back to the strategic objectives. And again, this doesn't mean, so we're saying that we're, you know, in key action for strategic objective 1.2, we're implementing restorative practices in all disciplinary incidents. That's a big umbrella there, but each school is going to do it a little differently. And so when they have their plans coming forward, they're going to be tackling based. I didn't put in here, you have in here in the plan, the draft plan, but who's involved in each of these actions and then the time frame that we have. So some might be starting to get worked on next year or this coming year, some might be in 2 years, some might be in 3 years. But here I just limited it to the objectives and the actions under each objective. And again, the importance that we talk about as a team is letting folks know that each school in their own plans are going to be taking this to the next level and making it more specific. What does that mean? What does the rest of the practices at the middle school mean as opposed to high school or at Ames Way? You know, survey students and staff yearly to determine their needs and measure progress. Right? So that's something that's going to happen maybe a little differently at each of the schools. But that was a big one actually, that key action of getting the input from the students because they're in the trenches. They know what's working, they know what's not working, and we need to listen to that. Under our second pillar, teaching, learning, and leading, our 4 key objectives there: align district curriculum both vertically and horizontally with lens on equity. We want to establish and develop a strong multi-tiered system of support and PSS plan across all levels. That's something that we've been working on and talking about here for a couple of years. Ms. Stellara, who's not here, was really at the forefront of putting us on the MTSS map. You know, and we have an approach that we're taking. This is just going to take it to the next level now. We want to align our practices and transitions across the district, so our teaching practices and the way kids move on from level to level. That came up a lot with, you know, those transitions from the elementary to middle to high school to college. There's some work that we need to do in that area, and that was identified. And then prepare all students for postgraduate life, whatever that might be, college, work, military, gap year. So our key actions tied to those all relate to the objectives that we identified. And a lot of these key actions were actually objectives that we kind of had a list of, could have been 10, 12 different objectives that we had to kind of vote on as individuals, and then as a group, we identified the ones that jumped out the most, and those became our strategic objectives. But a lot of them are still really important, and they might not have raised the level of strategic objective, but they were kind of a key item or key action that was going to allow us to meet those objectives. So many of those are, again, were already brought up prior by our team, by the members of the team. And this is the last one of the key action for pillar number 2, on creativity and innovation across all content areas of K-12 and support and guide all students in planning and career pathways. Community engagement and communications, okay, and our 4 key objectives there: increase our awareness of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging throughout the school community, develop and implement the streamlined, consistent system to communicate information in a timely manner to all stakeholders. Again, that's something that we heard a lot about from all different levels that we want to work on that a little bit more. Support increased understanding and engagement in the community, increase opportunities for students, staff, and caregivers to voice their ideas around decisions. Okay, and then we had 4 different key actions that were tied back to those strategic objectives. Okay. And so this question, we can come back to it, but I just want to get through all of them and take a step back. Under management and operations, our 4 strategic objectives were to ensure accessible learning environments are provided for all students and staff. K-12, streamline and maximize usage of all district data. That was a big push from all levels. Garner financial support to address curriculum needs, how students access the curriculum, as well as garnering financial support to provide multi-year sustainable technology refresh stuff. We have great technology, and a lot of that is a part of what we do moving forward is really important. And then there's a handful of other key actions that will be part of number 4. And then that's it. I mean, the plan is what it is. It's not a huge, it's not 1,000 pages. Back 20, 30 years ago, a plan might have had all the graphs and pictures and diagrams and, be a big binder, but no one ever used it. So this document is a 4-pillar document with strategic objectives ranging from 3 to 4, I think 5 is the most, and then key actions for all of them. And then those key actions are going to be built upon at the school level. As we move forward, when we meet in the summer at our annual retreat, we talk about goals for the district, and we're going to be, again, breaking down, you guys see it in your document, we're breaking down the things that have been identified for 23-24 school year and setting those as our priorities when we set our goals for the district. And Mr. Lee, who is one of the 3, as a retired administrator, he's been a principal in a number of different schools around the South Shore, a really valuable leader in the educational circles. When I was a principal, I used to lean on him. He was over at Whitman Hanson when I was in Bridgewater Raynham, and he moved over to Braintree, and I was in Hanover for a while, so he knows his way around the schools and knows a lot about this process, and I just thought it'd be good for him. The whole team couldn't be here. Dr. Anna Nolan is one of the other members of TLA who work with us. She's a superintendent in Natick who's going to be taking over Newton, so she's a little tied up right now. And then Dr. Borstel, who retired here 10 years ago. He was working with us as well. He's down in Texas, so he couldn't be here. But Mr. Lee, if you wanted to add any quick insight to the committee that let them know, your thoughts on how the process went here.
First, on behalf of TLA, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to facilitate the process. And I think that that's an important word, is facilitation, because what happens in the first phase is participation by everybody. Over 1,000 surveys and 5 or 6 forums that we conducted, as well as the data that we looked at, really set the foundation for an excellent plan. In the second phase, what you have is when the committee comes together. I think that the committee was comprised of representatives from all different constituents. But simply, what they had most in mind was what's best for students, what were the outcomes that were best for students, and what would be best for Marshfield Public Schools in moving forward and creating a guiding document. And I think that the committee was extremely successful in doing that. I think that this is a plan that will stand the test of time, and it won't be something that's static. So this 4 years from now, you won't pull out the plan and it'll look the same. Right? So I think that one of the things that we encourage is that it's dynamic. That you take a look as conditions change, the plan should change as well. Right? So there's constant feedback around that moving forward. And some of the things that we had gathered as a committee that weren't part of, that didn't make it as part of the plan, may become priorities in later years. Right? So the 3rd year, conditions may change, and some of the things that we talked about as part of the committee. I first want to say that it was a great representative committee. They did the hard work. We facilitated that, and we put it together, but the hard work was done by the committee, and it was really representative of Marshfield, and I think the Marshfield community is really proud of the work, and I think, really hold the school district accountable to this particular plan, and members of the school committee as well. So, again, I'd like to thank you on behalf of TLA, and congratulations on developing a great plan.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? I want to just really quickly say to all of you folks sitting here, thank you so much. I mean, having had a chance to participate in that kind of working group does a couple different things. It refreshes my memory on all of the wonderful things that are happening here in Marshfield, because you have to go through it all with a fine-tooth comb. But it also kind of reinvigorates you a little bit, or adds an even greater layer of invigoration to the work that you have to do with the school district. And I want to single out the parents, you folks giving up your time and being there with us to let us know how we can make it better for your kids to learn in Marshfield Public Schools. That's incredibly valuable. And I think you'd all join me in saying the 2 students that we had, just to kind of recognize what Mr. Granatino had said, they were outstanding, and they weren't afraid to speak up. No. And I think you folks and you and Ms. Dargan and Mr. Raymond, I think that's a testament to the folks the adults in the room who were part of the process for making those kids feel comfortable to say what was on their mind, because that's incredibly valuable to hear from them, and I think you'd all agree with that. They were outstanding. They were really a fantastic representation of the student body. And I enjoyed the process, and I appreciate all of you for all of your hard work, and that it does not go unnoticed.
I'll highlight too that Ms. Dargan's actually a veteran. She was a parent rep.
Yes.
The last plan 5 years ago.
This is
And
your
she was able
second plan in a
sit on
row.
this one as a school committee member.
Any other questions or comments from the group? Go ahead.
Sorry, microphone. I would just like to echo what Sean said about parent participation. I think that that's one of the things that Marshfield does really well, is we always encourage members of the community to participate in these activities. And I will say, I have no idea what your backgrounds are, or I know Jackie from Governor Winslow. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. But I find a lot of times when people don't have any background in education and you just send your kids to school every day, you don't realize what goes into the whole picture. And when you participate in something like this, and you listen and you learn, and you can be really good ambassadors in the community to let other parents know and families, and encourage people, move to Marshfield because we have a great school system, or this is something that we could do better, or when people have questions in the community about what goes on behind closed doors, I would say their doors are always open, but for lack of a better term, it's really good to have you guys involved, and I appreciate that, and I want to thank you. I know that you dedicate a lot of time, and it's not easy work, so thank you very much, and thank you to teachers as well. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well said, really well said. And I want to just really quickly, before we take a motion on this, the two of you sitting here, I mean, it takes a lot to, every single day, your full-time job, which is more than a full-time job, it's your whole life, is helping to run this school district, and you were able, like you said, Mr. Grandantino, to kind of leave titles at the door, and Dr. Martin, you work a whole heck of a lot on curriculum, and you and Amy McAlpine are like a dynamic duo with all of that stuff, and in the course of a conversation, certain things would come up, and I would see like your eyes just go like a little like, oh, and you'd start to like, and the conversation would always come back to the way it should go, but you never made it about, well, that would impact my job because, or you were always open to having the conversations, both of you. So I appreciate that, and that was recognizable as well. If there are no further questions, we'll take a motion to approve the 2023 to 2028 strategic plan for Marshfield Public Schools. Is there such a motion? So moved from Ms. Braid. Is there a second? Second from Mrs. Dargan. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? That's a 3-0-0. Wonderful.
Awesome. Now the real work starts.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it's nice, too, for parents or any community members who have questions on what we're working on in the schools to say, well, there's a whole lot of things going on, and here's this document that has everything that we're working on.
And one of the things that it won't be probably, until the end of the summer?
Typically it takes 6 to 8 weeks to produce the final copy.
Yeah, so the final copy is going to be something that's very, I could never do it, but it's going to be something that can be put on the website that's going to be really interactive for folks to be able to see exactly what we have. And are there hard copies? Do they do hard copies, glossy copies? Do we do that?
You can. Typically, what we do is we provide a plan to put on the website.
Right.
But we provide a one-page dashboard.
Right, the dashboard is really important.
Mission, vision, core values, theory of action, and the pillars.
Yeah.
That are people that want to see more detail go to the actual plan.
Yeah.
For more details.
So we'll put the draft plan up there so people can see it over the summer. But there'll be a much more finished product that will go up, and that'll be on our website for the next 5 years.
That's fantastic.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to TLA for all their work and guidance. Okay, that's our final item as we're tabling the other item for tonight until that meeting can happen. But we have a couple meeting minutes to look at. I direct your attention first to May 23rd. Okay, whenever you're ready to make a motion, I'll entertain a motion. Motion, thank you, Ms. Dargan. Motion's been made to approve the May 23rd, 2023 meeting minutes. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Brate. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining, 300. We have the June 6th meeting minutes. And Ms. Pazerski, can I just ask for a question of clarification? The May 23rd meeting minutes, is that the meeting that you were away for? No, May 9th. May 9th, okay. I was just going to thank you for getting that together. Oh, great. Did I miss those? I don't see May 9th. Motion's been made to approve the June 6, 2023 meeting minutes. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Dargan. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining, 300. Yeah, we do not have May 9th, yeah. That's okay, we can take them next meeting. And then we have the executive session meeting minutes from the 6th of June as well, and this would be a motion to approve and release. So moved from Ms. Brate. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Dargan, and that's a roll call, Mrs. Pazerski. Yes, thank you very much. That's a 300 as well. Seeing no further business, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Actually, we do have exec.
Oh, I'm so
Real
sorry,
quick.
you're right.
It's
Yep.
gonna be a very quick exec.
Yep,
but it
you're
is-
correct. So the chair will entertain a motion to enter into executive session and not to re-enter into full session thereafter. Is there such a motion on the floor? So moved from Ms. Brate. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Dargan. That's a roll call as well, Mrs. Pazerski. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.